Before I start this video, I want to discuss a few things. Firstly, I seem to caught a really bad coughing, so that's why my voice is just kind of a little more deeper. Hopefully, the coming future, I'll get better, but I'm not sure how likely that is right now. And secondly, I'm aware that it's been like at least a week since I've been absent on YouTube. The main reason why I was absent on YouTube was mostly because of the whole thing about Mario Kart. Mario Kart itself is in a bit of an interesting position where it reminded me more about when the Fighters Pass was going on, and it brought in a bunch of uncomfortable, just uncomfortable energy around it. So I wanted to take a break from the series, and I think for the most part I've recovered enough so I can at least be comfortable talking about the subject again. But this video isn't about Mario Kart, it's mostly about Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I recently got this game when it was actually on sale during a Ubisoft presentation that I wasn't aware of at all until I saw like a notification that has like the Ubisoft games on sale on Switch, so I thought this is my chance to finally own Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Now, this game was one of my more anticipated games to get on the Switch for a while now. I've loved playing Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle when it first released. I remember the day when the game was first revealed, a lot of fans were a lot more skeptical about the game because it was a Rabbids crossover with the Mario series. Many of them thought it would fail, but surprisingly enough, the game turned out to be a big success and everybody loved it. I don't think anyone expected it to get a sequel, but here we are. I'm glad it did get a sequel though, because it greatly expands upon the previous game in a lot of ways, and I think it was the best approach. I'd argue that this game is a lot more better than Kingdom Battle, if I'm going to be honest. So this video, I'm mostly just going to be talking about Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, not like as a review or anything, just my general thoughts on the game right now. Do keep in mind that during this entire discussion, there's going to be not only some spoilers to Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, but a little bit of Sparks of Hope as well, because I'm currently in the third world, and I am going to show some footage from the third world. Not sure if that's considered spoiler enough, but I thought I'd mention it right away. So if you were at least interested in getting Sparks of Hope now, even if it's on sale or not, please do check it out. It's genuinely one of the best Switch games I've ever played. So when I got into Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope for the first time, the title screen just took me a step back because it was so unexpected. It was a complete tonal shift to the first game's title screen, which was more chaotic, which is the nature of the Rabbids. But this game has a more emphasis on Super Mario Galaxy. Even through the reveal trailer, there was a lot of Galaxy elements that presents itself. And personally, as somebody who's enjoyed the Galaxy games, I like the inclusion of a lot of Galaxy elements like Star Bits and the Sparks being the crossover of Lumas and Rabbids. More on them later, but I figured I'd mention that right now. So, one of the things that I've wanted to see is the gameplay for Sparks of Hope. Now, the original game was focused on a tactical RPG formula, things it's a lot more similar to the XCOM games, which is the game's closest comparison. And I'm not sure if Sparks of Hope continues that trend, but I feel like that game is a lot more expansive than the one in Kingdom Battle. One of the things that I wasn't too fond of with Kingdom Battle is the way it feels to, move characters around. You mostly use Beepo as a cursor, and you place characters in spots where you think they would fit best. It's a great visualizer for sure, but at times it just kind of feels monotonous in some ways. Sparks of Hope lets you freely control any character that you want, and it gives a much greater scope than just what's been restrictive to it before. It also helps that the area of movement is a lot more expansive. It's not just completely squared like the originals, so that one's pretty nice. I appreciated it a ton. One of the things I had to get praise out of the way, although minor, was the enemy variety, or more so the inclusion of Mario enemies. One of the things that I wasn't really fond of with Kingdom Battle, although a little more minor, is the exclusion of Mario enemies. I mean, sure, you have Change Homs and Boos, but they're more like hazards than anything else, or gimmicks at the very least. in Sparks of Hope, you've got Goombas and bombs on the battlefield, and even if it's just these enemies, I appreciate them a ton for at least being there. It gives more emphasis on this being a Mario game as well, because Kingdom Battle was certainly more like a Rabbids game than a Mario game at points. Remove elements of Mario in the mix, I should say. Not like it's a big deal or anything, I just thought I'd mention it because it was just one of the things I was hyped about the most for some reason. The strategizing has always been one of the best parts about both games. It's the way you plan out, like you thought about how you're able to take down this enemy or how this enemy could be an issue, so you want to take that out first. And then once you plan your strategy out and you put in the motion of each character doing their actions, it becomes satisfying. Something surprising about the result that you didn't expect, but you appreciate either way. I should at least mention the character roster for Sparks of Hope. Now, unfortunately, we did lose 2 characters in the process, unless you really want to count the Donkey Kong expansion. So we lost Yoshi and Rabbid Yoshi along the way. And I think that's a bit of a shame because I feel like, especially for Yoshi, who was introduced late game, I feel like they could have been utilized a lot better. But alas, it is what it is. What we got instead was honestly a lot more better than what we did get. Although I think Rabbid Yoshi was entirely replaced by a different character. I will talk about them a little bit more in detail, and it's a bit of a coincidence too, because as of this recording, I somehow unlocked Bowser. And as you could imagine, as somebody who really does enjoy the presence of the Koopa King himself, the moment he comes up on screen, I lost it. I literally recorded myself freaking out over Bowser.
It's him, it is actually, he has it, he's got a fucking bazooka, he's got a bazooka!
Twice. The first character I want to talk about is Edge. Edge, from what I can at least tell, is the only character that isn't really based on any Mario character. Edge seems to be an original character made for Sparks of Hope, and Edge is pretty cool. I really enjoy using Edge a lot, especially with the blade weapon she has, where it acts more like a boomerang, that it can hit multiple targets at once, and it deals a lot of damage if you have the right setup. She's definitely one of my favorites and is mostly my go-to for most of the battles that I go through. Rabbid Rosalina is next, and from what I can tell according to people that has played the game, apparently Rabbid Rosalina is pretty broken. I mean, she literally has an ability where she can stun the enemy by not only making them not be able to move, but not to attack as well. I think she's the replacement for Rabbid Yoshi, however, so yeah. And speaking of which, I think Yoshi also got replaced, this time with Bowser, who now wields a cannon. I may be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure Yoshi had a cannon in Kingdom Battle. But yeah, Bowser himself, just in general, the fact that he's even playable just makes my day. And I'm not sure how much of a use he's gonna have for me later down the line, but hopefully it's enough, because just Bowser holding a fucking rocket launcher, I absolutely love it. Alongside the heroes, we also have the addition of Sparks, which are kind of like power-ups for all of the heroes in the game. Aside from the fact that the Sparks are literally just the most cursed thing imaginable. I mean, it's a Luma and a Rabbid combined. How can it not be cursed? They're all surprisingly helpful in a lot of areas. I've used a good majority of them as well, and that's pretty good. You want to mix and match Sparks every now and then to suit your battle style, especially with things like an enemy's weakness, or an advantage to give to your allies, or a disadvantage to your opponents. You gotta take into consideration about these elements in order to give yourself a better advantage. Sometimes you really gotta think twice about if you want to use a Spark, because it does use up one of your mana. It's all about the strategy. It's all about thinking things through, unless you really don't have much to going on for a turn. In that case, go nuts. But otherwise, this was a pretty fun gameplay loop that I enjoy. And of course, much like the last game, there is a bunch of different objectives that you have to go through. Things like reach the area, or defeat a certain amount of enemies, or defeat this specific enemy. Things like this always keeps this game a bit more afloat. And alongside that, the game also has a bunch of challenges and puzzles scattered across. The puzzles this time are a lot more better, I would say, than Kingdom Battle. It's a lot more active than just buttons and switches, although I think both games are more similar in that regard. I just find Sparks of Hope's puzzles more enjoyable. And the game's new addition of challenges with these collectible tokens is certainly a treat and a nice addition. As well as the items, I'm surprised that there really wasn't an item system at all in the original Kingdom Battle. You only had to rely on your party's abilities. Of course, the one I use the most is the mushroom because it's a healing item, but there's also some other abilities that are pretty much useful and essential in some cases. The visuals for the game are something that I'm a fan of as well. For a lot of flack that the Switch has, I can't deny that in some cases it can look really beautiful even with a more minimalistic style, and Sparks of Hope definitely hits the mark. For the most part, all of the environments in each of the planets that you visit feels a lot more immersive. Things like Beacon Beach and you feeling like you've stumbled upon a ruined town, some similar to like Greece, and especially the autumn world. I love autumn settings. Like fall isn't like my favorite season in general, but the fall setting has always been my favorite. And the fact that there's an entire world dedicated to fall in the autumn season, it just, I don't know, it makes me smile every time I look at it. The music is pretty great. Grant Kirkhope, as always, doing amazing bangers. Surprisingly enough, I think there's a few other composers that also done work for Sparks of Hope. Hello, this is the last time I'll make this post-production recording. So when I was listing off the people who made the soundtrack for Sparks of Hope, I didn't really know the other two, and I somehow budged one of their names. So that sucked. So the other people that composed Sparks of Hope are Yoko Shimura, who also provided the music for Kingdom Hearts and Mario & Luigi, and Gareth Cocker, who is mostly known for their work on Ori. So that was pretty cool. All three gaming legends, I suppose. Anyways, yeah, back to the video. The loading times can be a bit more intrusive at some points, like especially when it loads longer than it needed to be, but whatever, it's fine enough. It's like a little more minor. Maybe there's like other things that I should at least address, but for the most part, I did enjoy my time playing with Sparks of Hope, and again, it's one of the best Switch games that I've ever played for this year, actually. I'm so glad I waited until I got a discount so that I can actually buy the game without having to pay full price. I feel like the game being priced at somewhere about $30 to $40 is more than enough. But I think the fact that I think this game has a lot more content going on with the missions and the objectives, all of that stuff is going to keep you company. And as somebody who isn't the most patient with games like RPGs, this is enough for me. And it's a great way for me to play through the game without feeling like, this is getting too much. So overall, I would say that Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope is just a great game. If this game entices you at least a little bit, please do consider checking it out. It's one of the best Switch games. I've probably said it like 3 times right now in this video, but I can't emphasize it enough. I really did enjoy Sparks of Hope a lot. It surprises me too that this game isn't really talked about as often. Maybe it's just because it's past its heyday, but even still, this game deserves to be talked about more often, especially in a sea of Switch games that aren't really as impressive. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, we got an announcement for Everybody Want to Switch. Yeah, the sequel we all wanted, I guess. But in any way, yeah, I just wanted to make a video about Sparks of Hope. Just nothing too deep or anything. I will say that one of the things that surprised me that I didn't mention at all in this entire video is the fact that the game has voice acting.
Never mind all that. What are you doing here, Bowser?
The voice acting is interesting. It's not like bad levels, it's actually pretty good. But there's certainly some moments that did get a chuckle out of me. I'll at least share a couple of them from the recording that I did get because they're genuinely one of the best.
Where enchanted creatures observe and consider whether to help or to harm. Also, pumpkin spice is overrated.
Genie, was that a joke?
But what is this? Hope that flies on eagle's wings?
But with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching this thoughts review. I'll get back into the swing of things eventually, just probably not now, because my voice sounds like crap. Hopefully next video is going to be the re-review of the Wave 1 tracks. And if the Wave 5 trailer comes out at some point during the time of me not getting sick, well, that absolutely sucks for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember that Stu cares about you, and yeah.